Hi everyone, this is Joelle and I'm doing a screencast for Virgil's Aeneid, Book 1, lines 527 to 538. So before this section, some of Aeneas's comrades who were lost at sea earlier, the ones which Aeneas was searching for, have found their way to Dido and are asking her for help in rebuilding their fleet. So in this passage specifically, Aeneas is talking to Dido and explaining part of their story. So let's get started. Non nos aut fera libicos populare penatis venimus aut raptas ad litere vertere praedas non eais animo nec tanta superbia victis. And I've included some vocab words in the pointer that might help. And the translation goes like, we have not come to either devastate Libyan gods with steel, or to divert captured plunder to our shore. This violence is not in our hearts, nor such great arrogance for conquered people. So in this passage, Aeneas is trying to assure Dido that they are not pirates or thieves. And something to note is that populare and vertere are both an interesting use of infinitive. In this case, it's used as purpose, and this kind of infinitive of purpose is unusual and only shows up in poetry. And a few other things are that vis is a subjunctive genitive, and you have to supply an is here to make it this violence is, and animo is also is a dative of possession. And tanta modifies superbia, and victis is also a dative of possession. So, est locus Hesperiam graei cognomine dicuntera antiqua potens armis aquae jubere glaevae oinotri coluere viri nunc fama minore. Italian dixis et ducis et nomine entem gentem hic cursus fuit. Okay, so there is a place, the Greeks call it Hesperia by name, an ancient land, powerful in arms and the fruitfulness of its soil. So cognomine is an ablative of specification, and this line is showing how Hesperia is a land suited for both war and peace, by saying armies and jubere glaevae. Another thing to note is that glaevae really means a lump of earth, but here it's used to represent soil, so it's an example of synecdoche. And armies and jubere are both ablative of specification depending on potence. Okay, so the Oinotrian men colonized it. Now the story is that their descendants called the people Italian from the name of their leader. Here was our course. So with fama, you have to supply an S, and that will make it an indirect statement. And dixisse is a perfect active infinitive with the indirect statement. And here Aeneas is saying that the name of the place was named after the leader of the Oinotrians, whose name was Italus. The other really interesting thing is that this line is the first of about 50 half lines in the Aeneid, and scholars believe that this is proof that that Virgil did not quite finish the Aeneid, and he meant to go back and finish these half lines. although it is still possible that these half lines were intentional. And actually our textbook says that it is possible for these half lines to hypothesize that the slight that these lines introduced into the rhythm of the poem are meant to underscore the meaning of the text. So here, for example, it is possible to imagine Aeneas pausing momentarily, perhaps overwhelmed by his memories, before plunging into a description of the destructive storm, which is what we will read in the next few lines. Okay, so continue. Cum subito ad surgens fluctu nimbosis orium in vada caeca tulit penitusque procacibus austris perque indas superante salo perque inua saxa displuit huc pauci vestris ad navimus oris. Alright, so when suddenly surging forward with the wave, stormy Orion has borne us into hidden vortexes. And for the next verb, we have to go down here to dispute it. So, and drove us all over far with deeply violent south winds, and through waves with salt towering over us, and through uncharted rocks. To this place a few of us swam to your shores. So some things to note are that all these perques are an example of polysyndeton, and proacibus austris is an ablative absolute, and there's also anaphora because perque is repeated, and alliteration with all the words that start with P. Also, oris is a dative of motion. Here, instead of using the usual odd plus accusative construction to show where they're going to, Virgil makes it a dative of motion. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and good luck, guys.